we are glad that you could join us tonight so that we can take a look at how businesses are doing. We can take a delve into how the economies are going on, and we can take a look as well into different things that pertain to how an economy gets to be run. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and I do believe that from the other episodes, you now know that we are more about learning. And because we are learning, I believe that you already have a book and a pen, and you have grabbed a cup of coffee so that you can be able to keep abreast with every given point that we are going to be discussing tonight. Call a friend, call that friend of yours, share that link with those of them that you so love and want them to excel in the businesses they are involved in, or at the places of work they are employed. At the places of employment they are employed. So tonight I am very excited. I'm still your favorite program host by the name Philip. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'll just go direct into our discussion tonight. Remember, last week we had an amazing and a lively discussion where we took a part 2 of what we titled The Foundations of Work. And I hope that you took a reflection and you are able to as well go through the notes bit by bit, being able to decipher through and being able to adjust what needed to be adjusted, being able to modify what needed to be modified, and you are able as well to implement that which needed to be implemented. You know, one thing for sure is that we are a generation that has been exposed to so lots of knowledge, but we have come to that place whereby, in as much as that there is so much knowledge that has been disseminated to us, we have not come to that place of apprehension and exercising that knowledge that we have been presented with. You see, it's one thing to have knowledge, it's yet another thing to appropriate that knowledge rightly. The most successful person is not that who has a knowledge in their head, but it is one who has not only gotten the knowledge, but has apprehended the knowledge by and through the implementation of the same. You see, anything that you'll ever get involved in, may it be business, may it be employment, may it be relationship, whatever it is that you're going to be involved in through your walk of life under the face of the sun. You see, its success is only pegged on your implementation. It has always been said that a man is a sum total of the decisions that they make. But you see, decisions are informed by the knowledge and understanding that one has acquired either by learning or by experience. And remember, in one of our discussions in our previous episodes, we learned and we agreed together as a team and as a family of the Business Hub program. We agreed that we would rather take mentorship rather than taking the experience lane, because you have discovered that it has always been said that experience is the best teacher. But we took a different thought and a different philosophical view, and we say that it's better mentorship than experience, because now you're walking a path that has already been set. You know the results that you are expecting. Rather than expecting failure, you'll always be expecting success, simply because it is a path that has already been proven. Okay? So whet up an appetite tonight and just get to share this link. Get to share this link with your friends. Get to share this link with your friends. We are actually live both on Facebook and on YouTube. On YouTube, we are Blossom Diaspora Media. Just go to YouTube, copy the link, share on that WhatsApp status, share on your Facebook page or on your Facebook profile. Get as many people, as many friends as you can, as we get to learn together tonight. Yes. So I'll take a recap. I'll just take a recap of very quickly. You know that since we are students and we are learning, I love taking recaps so that whenever we have a new viewer, we have a new family member that has come on board and has joined the Business Hub program, it's important that we carry along with them so that we can be, all of us, we can be at par. And you remember in our discussion last week, when we were taking part 2 of Foundations of Work, we talked about the principles that make for success, and we were able to list a number of P's. I hope you still do remember. If you can remember them, kindly do comment with the first P. Yeah, comment with the first P. What did we say the first P stood for? Yeah, for those of them that are joining us tonight, what did we say the first P is standing for? Yeah, let me check whether we have or I need to remind us what the first P stood for. Yeah. Get to share the link. Get to invite your friends. And tell them that Teacher Philip is on once again for the Business Hub tonight. So we said, I'll help us. We said that the first P stood for passion. We say that you cannot run any business, you cannot be able to engage in employment if you are not passionate about that thing that you are doing. So for you to be able to stay abreast, for you to be able to work towards the success of that organization that God has put you there, it's important, and we say it is paramount, to ensure that we are continually passionate, because the moment we lose passion is the moment that we begin to take the journey towards failure. It's the moment that we begin to take the journey towards stagnation. It's the moment that we begin to take the journey towards frustration. You see, many a times we are not in conflict, as it were, at our places of work because we are not loved or we are not doing well. We are just in conflict simply because we have lost passion. The moment you lose passion, you will find yourself that you are in antagonism with every other person but yourself. But if you can take an in-depth inventory on how you have been passionate about your work, you will discover that you have come to that place of being pushed. A passionless person is a person that is always in need of being pushed. But if we talk, I have seen many a times when people are applying for work, when people are looking for jobs, they usually write in their curriculum vitae that they are self-driven people. Yeah, they do not need to be driven by men. They can actually work under pressure, and all these other things and all these other characteristics and attributes that we get to that people get to indicate in their CVs. But when we get to work, that's when you discover that they really did write whatever it is that they wrote in their CVs subconsciously, not knowing that a scenario a scenario will be presented to them where they'll be tested on their pressure levels, they'll be tested on their perseverance levels, they'll be tested on their patience, they'll be tested whether they can be excellent even under pressure. You see, when you are passionate about that business, whether there is pressure from the economy, whether there is pressure from the competitors, whether there is pressure from even your family members who may be looking at that business as and they are telling you that it has not been able to give back, it has not been able to finance the money or the capital for which you set aside to put up the business. You need to leave it and look for something else to do. You see, passion will always look beyond what is being said. Passion will always look beyond what the economy is presenting. Passion will be able, and is what enables a business person to look beyond just the supply of the needs, or rather the needs being met as at now. But this business person is going to look beyond, because they are passionate about what they are doing. They'll not look at the losses that are being made peradventure there are losses being made, they will look beyond the losses because there is something, there's a goal they have set, there's a vision they have for that particular business, so they are going to work towards it passionately without having to look aside, without having to shuffle along and trying to just lose their focus. You see, when you are passionate about work, when you are passionate about your business, you're not going to set your sight on other things. Yeah, the reason many a times you find that small startups get to fail within the first 3 to 6 months to 1 year is simply because once they get into it, by the third, the fourth, the fifth month, the business person or the visionary of that particular startup begins to look at what other people are doing, forgetting that they have a unique blueprint that makes for their distinction from other entities. You see, passion is what will keep you in check from comparison. I'm not saying that you see, when we talk about business, when you look at business and when you look at work, we don't really compare, we benchmark. I'll take that once again. That when it comes to business and when it comes to work, we do not do comparison, we do benchmarking. Why? Because if you are comparing with a business entity that is at par with you, you will really not be growing. Because that simply should tell you that either you're doing 80 to 90% of things the same way with the other business entity. But if you are benchmarking, you're looking at a business or an organization that has already gone ahead of you. So you as a startup, you're looking up to that organization to be able to draw wisdom, knowledge, understanding of what niche they were able to apprehend and they were able to implement so that they could be at that particular place they are at during that particular season. Yeah, so this is a call, this is a challenge to every startup, that if that startup, if for example it is a startup that is engaging and it's involving maybe stock of 0 to 20 or 1 to 20 employees, say, or directors or whoever, or let's talk of manpower. Yeah, it's important that this is instilled in each and every of the labor force or the laborers. It's important that it's drilled into them that they must be passionate, lest they become passionless and they lose sight of the journey ahead and what they are supposed to be working towards. Yeah. Yeah, so it's very important. It's very important. And we say that it is at the place of consistency in keeping in check with the God-designed and God-conceived vision for that particular business that makes for an ever-increasing passion in pursuing the business. Yeah? This one should settle in your heart. It should settle in your mind. It should go into your record books. That consistency in keeping in check with the vision, keeping in check with the blueprint, keeping in check with the unique design is what makes for an ever-increasing passion to pursue that vision. All right? Then again, the second thing we talked about, it was the second P, which we call patience. Yeah? Patience in preparation. Patience in preparation. Patience in preparation. And what did we say when it talks about patience? We say that it is important that we cultivate an attitude of patience. Why? Because visions unfold in phases. You may begin at a profit of, say, $20, or let's put it at $200. Yeah, that should be around 20,000 Kenya shillings. So someone else may be their starting point is a profit margin of, say, $1,000. The place of patience in terms of business and ensuring that that vision that God has given you concerning that business gets to unfold as God will desire of it. It's important that you are patient. And you see, when we talk about patience, you're looking at There is what you have seen concerning that business, and there is where you ought to be, maybe, or rather by the timelines and the goals that you have set concerning that business. But it's yet again another thing to know that it requires a step after another, a block after another. I love what the scriptures will talk of. It is word upon word, precept upon precept. It is ordinance upon ordinance. Because when you talk about, say, for example, you're building a structure, you see, you don't start from the roofing, from the top. You begin by digging trenches for the purpose of the foundation. Then you put block upon block, and there has to be patience, because now if you are to rush the building, the construction of the building, you'll discover that in between there is going to be a substandardization of the way, or rather the process of construction. So to avoid a substandard kind of a building, then it is required that if there is a set or rather there is a stipulated time within which maybe the foundation should be allowed, or the slab should be allowed it should be allowed to, what is the word? Should be allowed to get strong. It's important that you allow it to do that, you allow it to dry, you allow it to absorb as much of water as it should, and you have allowed it to soak as much of cement as it ought to. It's still the same thing. So there has to be patience when you're building this business. There has to be patience, even when it comes to those of us who are in employment. I know there is favor. I am not negating the place of favor, but you'll have to be patient to learn the ropes at that working environment. You have to be patient in relating and networking with your colleagues, with your bosses, and getting familiar with the culture, and getting to be inculcated, and getting to just being around that area, for you to be able now to ascend through the ranks. You just don't come in. I know you have experience. You may be having experience, and you may probably you may have been absorbed as, say, a supervisor. You don't just wake up one morning, you have been employed today, next week you expect. Remember, I am not negating the place of favor, but yet again, you must have proven yourself through patience to be able now to be entrusted. You see, with promotion comes more responsibility. But for you to be entrusted with more responsibility, you have to have proven yourself through patience and within a duration of time that you can be trusted with these responsibilities. So when you talk of patience at the place of work, when we talk of patience at the place of allowing a vision to grow, it is, yes, you have a picture of what ought to be, but as of now, it is not what, as at now, the business is not what you have seen. The business is not what you have projected, but you have to be patient enough. You have to allow also for mistakes. I love what my mentor usually tells me, that as long as we are between, or rather, before we get even to the age of 30, we have lots of room to make lots of mistakes. So mine, I usually look at it from this point of view, that I have lots of room. Not that I should be making mistakes because I have a mentor, but then again, he has allowed me and given me room to make mistakes so that I can as well be able to adjust according to my blueprint and the uniqueness for which I am set out to ensure that this business project and this business venture gets to acquire and apprehends its niche to stand out among many. So when we talk of vision and patience, there has to be tenacity to stick with it. Tenacity. And I think I remember we alluded to, should be Hebrews chapter 10 and verses number 37 in the Message translation, which talked of that we are not quitters. We stick with it. We stick with it. So when we talk of patience, it comes by sticking with that thing, irrespective of what is going on. Hebrews chapter 10 verse number 37 in the Message translation. I think, yes, we should read it. Yeah, we should read it. Because I believe this should be an encouragement to you who is joining us tonight. You have started a business and you're looking, it's 2 months, there are no returns, and you feel as if it's time that you shut down. No, brother, sister, visionary, my fellow visionary, don't shut it down. Don't shut it down. Yeah? Hebrews chapter 10, verse number 37 in the Message translation. This one you love it. It says, yes. I can see, you guys are awesome. I can see Brian Minor is watching. I can see Blessed Mo is saying money and putting bags. Thank you so much, Blessed Mo. Thank you so much, Elder Bob Tinega. You're saying that for precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept. Thank you so much for reminding me where it's coming from, Isaiah 28:10. And it says that it's for precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there. I like that one, that it is here a little and there a little. Amen. Bob is saying that patience is the key. Thank you so much. So and as we are saying that we were to take something in Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 37, and the Bible. I just wanted to encourage those of us who have just gotten at newly employed, and it's as if some of the colleagues really don't want you there. They are kind of you feel as if they are frustrating your efforts, maybe to bring in change. Those of you that are in business. So Hebrews 10 verse 37 Message says, but we are not quitters who lose out. Can you imagine? The Bible knows that quitters lose out. So at the place of patience, you have cultivated an attitude. You have cultured your spirit, and you have conditioned your heart that I cannot quit. Fuel has gone up, but that does not mean that you should park your vehicle in your garage. A vehicle that you're using for business, no, you cannot quit. Yeah? It doesn't matter what, you see, in as much as inflation may be going higher, the rate of inflation, that does not mean that you should shut or downsize your business. Actually, it's time that you sat down. Go back to the blueprint the Lord gave you concerning that business, concerning that investment, and you check. What did God tell you at this particular phase of that vision? What will be happening? That's why we said that consistency in keeping in check with the vision God gave you will always ensure that you are passionate. All right? Yes. So take this to the bank, that you are not a quitter, because quitters lose out. Oh no, you stay with it and survive, trusting all the way. Trusting all the way. Yes. And the third thing that we talked about is patterns. We say that it is patterns that make pathways which, when rightly and faithfully followed, they guarantee success. You see, the reason as to why you find that the most simple patterns by successful people seem as if they are difficult is because they have done it over and over and over again. So it has become a part and parcel of their nature. Yeah? So when we talk of patterns, for you who is in business, for you who is in investments, for you who is an employer, it's responsibility has been laid upon you to be able to come up with patterns which can be done what? They can be shared and they can be trusted to the other generation that will come in after you. Remember, we said something in our last episode that any vision that dies with you is not worth living for, because God's visions for your life are transgenerational. And that's why when God will call you or give a man a vision, he will ensure that he has factored in the sons, the daughters, and the other generations. That's why even when he's blessing, because now as we progress and as we'll begin to have guests coming to talk to us, you'll discover that the blessing was not, is, and has never been just for your progress. It is for you and the fruit of your womb. All right. So we say that patterns are the mothers of culture in any working environment. Yeah. Cultures are built from the place of patterning. Yeah. So for example, if I can use an example by one of our viewers who happens to be Brian Miner, who is into perfuming. Yeah. And you discover that the kind of patterns that is going to set at O&D Sense, for example, Nakuru, I believe that they are the same. They are going to be uniform across. Whether he's going to start a branch in Nairobi, Mombasa, Meru, outside the country, yeah, wherever. You see, the moment you set a pattern, you have already set a culture that this is the mindset, this is the way of conduct of how things are supposed to be done within this working environment. So not unless you have changed a word, as Bob has just told us, that it is a little here, a little there. It is line upon line. It is precept upon precept. So if we start from scratch as we are building, and as the business is growing such as is and edifies, you'll discover something, that you'll be bringing up people to the mindset and the caliber of working force that you have seen concerning that business. Oh, I can see Yune Mwandime saying, Niko ndani and good evening. Thank you so much, Yune. Bob is saying, patience is the key. Yeah, kindly continue to share with your friends this link, even as we get to learn together. Oh, I think I should run quickly so that we can take a look at and some other things. So we as well talked, the first P I said from last episode was passion. The second P was patience. The third P we talked about principles, and we gave just a sneak peek. Oh, and the third P was patterns. The fourth P was principles, which where exactly we ended at. And we actually took two things. We took two fundamentals of fair dealing, and we said actually principles are fundamentals of fair dealing. They cut across. Whether you are born again, actually I can say this with confidence and without any fear of contradiction, that when men apply principles, irrespective of whether they are born again or not, as long as they have applied principles, the things they are involved in will always succeed. And one of the principles we said is that we have to always ensure that we produce excellent products and we offer excellent services, because outside excellence you will give substandard, but when you apply and incorporate excellence in your service, excellence will always attract people of excellence. So for you who is trusting God for a change and a shift in the levels of profit margins, you need to incorporate excellence in the products that you are offering to the market. You need to incorporate excellence in the services that you are offering to your clientele, lest you will be submerged into the sea of despair. You see, you may be asking, why is it that we have, I know most of us have been in Nairobi town, and you discover that you'll find that there are like 2 or 3 hotels within the same street. Actually, some of them are just neighboring. Yeah, they are sharing walls. And you wonder, why is it that one hotel or one restaurant is receiving more clientele than the others? That when you take a deeper look, you'll discover that this restaurant that is receiving more clientele must and is actually applying and has incorporated excellence not only in the way they receive their One time, let me give you an example. One time, my friend and I went to a restaurant at some place along Moi Avenue, and we actually had gone to take tea, but we ended up taking a whole meal. Yeah, why? The way we were received at the main door, it's on a first floor, on a first floor, and I remember the way we were received from the ground floor, being shown the way. Then we get and we find that the waiters are well dressed, well mannered. They showed us where to just take our seats. They were very soft spoken yet courteous, and they served us very well. To us, that was excellence. So initially we had walked in to take, of course we took the cups of tea that we had gone to take, but then again we added. The reason we added is not because we were hungry, but the level of excellence that we were served with endeared us enough to a point that we had to take a meal. Yeah. So we looked at excellence, and we saw something from the book. I wish it can be projected to us, or it can be displayed to us. Proverbs chapter 22 verse 29. Proverbs chapter 22 verse 29. As we continue to take a look at as we continue to discuss and have our conversation tonight. Yeah, Proverbs chapter 22 verse 29. Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 29. As I take your comments, yeah. Thank you so much for joining in. So Proverbs chapter 22 verse 29. I'll take it up in the New King. Yes. So Proverbs chapter 22. Yes. I believe you took your Bible with you. Remember, we are ever learning. We are ever increasing in learning. So Proverbs 22 verse 29 in the New King James. Yeah. We are talking about excellence, and we have said that excellence is a fundamental principle that has got to be incorporated and be applied at every given phase. And you realize that every time your business is growing, thank you, Lord. Let me put this across to you, that your next level of business is an excellence applied away. I'll take it that once again. That the next level that you so desire. Yeah, so let's first read it. Proverbs chapter 22 and verses 29 in the New King James Version. It says that, do you see a man who excels in his work? I want you to pick the word excel. Do you see a man who excels in his work? Do you see a man who excels in his work? He will stand before kings. He will not stand before unknown men. I will take it that once again. Do you see, this is a question, do you see a man who excels in his work? Meaning, a man that excels in his work will never stand before unknown men. Could it be your business is only known within your community because you are not excellent? You are not excellent. Could it be you have not been known by the other branches of the organization you are working for simply because you are not excellent? And if you are known for lack of excellence. Kai. Where? It's getting hotter in here. Yeah. That you can only, that for you to be known, you desire your business to be known. Why not package those products excellently? You desire your services to be spoken of. Why not package those services excellently? You desire your consultancy firm to be known. Why not excellently respond to clients? Those of us who are into online businesses, for example, those who have online stores, if you can excellently respond to clients, irrespective of whether, you see, one of the things that, and I've seen it is it's a challenge with for those of them that have online stores, is when it comes to communication. You have to excellently communicate. You must, let me emphasize, you must excellently communicate with your clients. If you made a post, and I know that I'm also speaking to myself, yeah, that if a client sends you an email at 9 a.m., please don't reply after 24 hours. That's not being excellent. That's not being excellent. Or if you have to respond within the shortest period of time, you send that email with an attitude. You know, attitudes can be felt even via text messages. It's that high time that you go back to the drawing board and check, where exactly have I been in excellent, so that I have not been able to get to accrue the clientele that I so desire. Yeah? I know of a young man who is, his level of excellence is something I have not seen before. He's into fashion. I will not name his name. I will not mention his name. But he is into fashion, and one of the most striking things that, as I read through his biography, I discovered is that he has taken the excellence of his service to a different level. He does not do social media. He does not have a website, yet he's into fashion. What he has done is that he writes letters, because he knows that I'm not making these suits for every Tom, Dick, and Harry. There is a caliber of people that I am targeting. There is a target market that I have, and these are business people who can get to the prices for which I have displayed, or I have presented these suits for. So what he's doing currently, he writes letters, handwritten letters, and delivers them himself to the potential clients. And do you know how much the lowest of his suits is going for? It's going for $2,500. That's approximately 250,000 Kenya shillings. A young man who is barely 30 years old, based here in Nairobi. But what has he discovered? That because I am taking my time, you see, it's not just about the preparation of the suit. Actually, as I read, I discovered that it takes him around 1.5 months to 2 months just to come up with one suit that he tails it himself. But thereafter, the results can be seen, because he not only presents this suit excellently, he has as well looked for and just cut down his market to the excellent people. All right? Yeah, so excellent. Do you see a man who excels in his work? Such a man, such a woman will never stand before unknown men. Actually, we have seen that he stands before kings. You want to offer your services, for you who is in the catering and outside catering business. You want your services to be hired by your member of parliament from whatever constituency you're coming from. Be excellent. Someone will make mention of your name. An excellent business will always be made mention of among noble men and women. So inculcate excellence in your business, and watch your business being looked for and your services being sought after by great and influential men. And the second thing that we talked about when it comes to principles, we talked about wisdom. We can never overemphasize the place of wisdom. We can never emphasize the place of wisdom. And as we talk about wisdom, I wish my producer can get us Proverbs chapter 24 verses number 3 in the Amplified Classic, as we talk about wisdom. For me, I look at wisdom, Proverbs chapter 24 and verse number 3 in the Amplified Classic. For me, wisdom is the ability to know and to discern what, when, how, where, and with whom to do business with. So I'll take that one once again. That wisdom, according to me and my interpretation, is the ability to discern what, when, how, where, and with whom to do business with. You see, business is not, not business, but wisdom is not a sentiment to be held in your head or in your heart. For wisdom is known by her children. So there has to be effects that accompany wisdom. We say a man or woman is wise not just by the words of their mouth, but by the fruits of their actions. Kai, I'll take that once again. That wisdom is not just revealed by the words of a man's mouth, but also by the actions and the fruits of their actions. So when we talk about business, for instance, when we say that this business has applied wisdom, wisdom will be seen in how they get to handle both the high earners and the low earners when they come to the shop. For example, I know most of us have entered some shops and you found that the attendants just could not, they decided not to serve you simply because of maybe the way they looked at you, and they thought to themselves that this one cannot afford anything within this shop. Yeah? So that is a revelation of a lack of wisdom in terms of being able to handle every client, not according to the the social strata as it were, but according to the mantras of business that we subscribe to, according to the values the business is based on, according to the premise of the core values that the business has been built upon. Okay? So when we talk of business at the place of work, it's the ability to be able to know when to put a product into the market and when not to put it, or when to withdraw it from the market for its repackaging, for its modification, for its maybe for its modification. When you talk of wisdom, it's where exactly. Because you may be thinking, for example, I so believe, and this one I have learned it from my mentor, that whatever it is that God has given to you, in as much as it's global, it is not for everyone. That's why you'll find that you will be attacked. You'll find that you'll be challenged when you go to different areas. People will question that which you believe in concerning that business of yours. Yeah? But what will keep you in check and keep you going is the wisdom that you know that I have been sent to this market. I have been sent to this caliber of people. I am presenting this product. I am producing this product. I am presenting these services for such and such a people. So when it comes to we are talking of location, where exactly is the location of this business? Yeah? For example, you cannot tell me what example can we use when it comes to, say, a business that has been located at a wrong place? Yeah? Yeah, you just find an example. But when it comes to locations of business, wisdom can be seen by where it is located. Yeah? Because, for example, you cannot tell me that you are a relationship coach, for example. So you're doing consultancy in terms of relationships, not necessarily family and romantic and marriage and all that, but networking for the purpose of growth of businesses. Then you tell me that you're going to take that consortium to an area that has got nothing to do with networking. It only knows that we work for the purpose, or we work to be able to eat. You're going to be a frustrated man or woman. The business that venture and the capital that you will invest is going to go down the drain. Is it because that you don't have a good business plan? Is it because you don't have a good business vision? Is it because that you don't have excellence, as it were? It is just a revelation of misappropriation of wisdom. So wisdom will be seen in when you present a product or a service. Wisdom will be seen in where you present that product or service. Wisdom will be seen in how. So when we talk of the house, there is how I expect a donut to be packaged, which is different from how I expect a soap, a bar of soap to be packaged and branded for that matter. So when we talk of the house, wisdom will be seen. You see, allow me to laugh because it's just a thought that has struck me. Could it be, and can we safely say, that the way you have branded your product is a revelation of your wisdom levels? The way you have branded your shop is a revelation of your wisdom levels. Can we safely say that? Can we safely say that? Before we continue, I wanted to show us something. I do believe that by now our producer has got it. Something from Proverbs chapter 24 in the Amplified Classic, verse 3. Yeah. Proverbs chapter 24, verse 3 in the Amplified Classic. So we will take it. So this is what the Bible says, that through wisdom, a house is built. Through wisdom, a house is built. Through wisdom, I want you to pick that one. Even don't go to part B, and by understanding it is established. I want you, because we are talking about wisdom, I want you to pick, through wisdom, a house is built. 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 I am emphasizing that one. So sorry. I was reading in the New King James Version. Sorry. Let me take it up in the Amplified. It says that through skillful, this is what I was looking for. Through skillful and godly wisdom. Now, when you talk of excellence, some translation, the previous verse we had read in Proverbs 22 verse 29, you'll discover that some translations will replace the word excel with skill. Yeah? So you discover that wisdom goes hand in hand with skill. So your skill levels are a reflection of your wisdom levels. Yeah? The level to which you apply your skill or you excel in your skill is a reflection of the levels to which you have exercised and applied wisdom in that particular business that you are in. All right? So, for example, say I am selling, in Kenya we call them chips. I believe, Bob, in Boston they call them crisps. Yeah? Bob, I stand corrected, but I believe you call them crisps. But here we call them chips. So, how skillfully my producer is calling them by a name that I would rather not talk about. He is calling them chips umetu, yeah? They are chips from the forest, directly translated. So we are talking of through skillful and godly wisdom. You see, for example, like the way I know you like the videos, you like our videos, you don't have an option but to like them. Why? Because they are skillfully presented. They are excellently presented. They are, yeah, you can see God in them, yeah? and I call upon you, yeah, to share them with us. So through skillful, I was giving an example of chips. So how I get, you see, the reason as to why is called them chips forest, chips forest, is because as you walk along the streets, God bless those people who do who do that, because they have refused to stay indoors, and that's really commendable. But you see, as time goes by, wisdom will always dictate that you now start upgrading the way you prepare them. If you are preparing them in a bucket, yeah, you look for those nice containers that are meant for the preparation of those chips. Yeah, you look for the best knives, or those preferred knives that they are customized for that particular. If you are maybe doing them in a that pot that looks like a basin, yeah, you look for that thing, that particular thing that is usually used to dry the chips and all that, and sorry, to fry the chips and all that. Yeah, so wisdom will be seen as vision for the chips empire is growing. Wisdom will be seen in how you get to upgrade either your utensils, maybe your location, and as well how you get also to be serving your clients. Probably initially you are doing it single-handedly. You can incorporate another pair of hands, and as well you can start even doing office and home deliveries. That's wisdom right there being seen, that as the vision is unfolding, you are as well growing with the vision. Wisdom will dictate that you start now tapping into all these other potentials that had not been tapped into before. All right. Yes. So so today, let me just mention one or two things very quickly. And these things, so having talked for the last 3 episodes, we have been talking about the foundations of work, and we have really learned a lot. So in essence, all we have been discussing is the nitty-gritties. It's the building blocks. What Bob called it's line upon line. Yeah, it's block upon line. Those are the nitty-gritties that form the foundation of what now we call, today we will call, stewardship. Yeah, that all these things, all these character traits, all these principles, all these patterns, all these things that we have been discussing, they are what makes for a successful steward. So today I want us to talk about steward. Yeah, in a sneak peek. Who is a steward, and why is it, and why are they stewards? You discover when we began talking about and discussing the topic on foundations of work, we said that God, since time immemorial, had a plan for each and every one of you. Had a plan for that business that you are that you have launched out. Had a plan concerning you being in that organization that you are working with and for. So you discover that you are there as a steward. 1, to be fruitful. Number 2, we say that you are a steward to multiply. You are a steward to fill the earth. You are a steward to domineer. All right? So all these things we have been discussing, they are what makes for fruitfulness, multiplication, dominion, and filling the earth with those God concepts. All right? So when we talk of stewardship, you see, we alluded something from Genesis chapter 2 verse 15, and we say that God put man in the Garden of Eden to be able, 1, he gave him responsibility, and the responsibility was to tend and to work it out. Yeah? To tend and to work. And so the synonym for tend is caring. All right? So you work at that particular organization such a time as this to tend or to care for the needs of that organization, even as you meet the wants and the desires of your clientele and of the consumers, of the services and the products that you have presented to the market. All right. So when we talk of stewardship, we are saying that stewardship is now, I want you to take two things, because now these will now be able to help you to embrace all what we have been discussing under foundations of work, to now be able to appropriate it, to appropriate all these things rightly and become a success and force to reckon with in that field that you are in. All right. So when we talk of stewardship, these are the two things that I want you to pick when we are comparing. You see, you may be thinking, you may be seated there and you're thinking that when God has told you that you are to tend and to care, he has told you to. Management is a whole different ball game altogether, and we are going to see that. What's the difference between stewardship and management? And actually, I'll give it out as I'm defining it. And when we talk of stewardship, we are talking of two things. That stewardship is the careful and responsible management of something entrusted to your care. All right? I'll take that once again. That stewardship is the careful and responsible management of something entrusted to your care. So you are in that office, you have been trusted with responsibilities. For example, you have been trusted with tasks that you ought to be meeting and doing each and every other single day, and probably at the end of the week or maybe fortnightly, depending with the kind of a pattern and the kind of culturing that has been set up within that organization, you get to report. So when you fail to report, it simply means that you have become an irresponsible and an uncareful steward of the tasks that you had been entrusted with. Say you are a driver. You have been entrusted as a steward with that vehicle. So what ought you be doing? You ought to be careful and responsible. I have seen lots of time a driver saying that after all, the vehicle is not mine. So whether it has been hit the bumper or not, why should I care? Whether it has been scratched or not, after all, it's a public service van. Why should I be scared? The boss will. But you see, it's not the boss that is driving that vehicle. It's not the boss that is working with that computer. I am as well challenging myself to being careful and being responsible. It's not my boss who usually gets to conduct business with my computer in my office. It is I. So it is irresponsible and uncareful to think that when I do not take good care of it, it's how he's going to suffer. Of course, she will suffer financially, but I'll as well suffer indirectly because I may be retrenched. So what ought I do? To be a faithful steward is to be careful and responsible in the management of that which has been trusted to me. Are we together? Are we together? Are we together, dear beloved friends? Those of us who are following us, are we together? Yeah, I can see David Mogaka saying he's watching live from Nairobi. Thank you so much, David, for joining us tonight. So what are we saying? We are saying that stewardship is the careful and responsible management of something entrusted to. Do you know we have become a generation that cannot be trusted with anything? Why? Because we are those of them that touch and leave. You see, when we talked of patience, I believe we must have mentioned in our earlier episodes that patience makes for stickability. Okay? So when we talk of stewardship, it's you have cultured your heart, you have conditioned your mind, and you have brought your attitude to that place of understanding, that place of appreciating that as a steward I ought to be careful and responsible with the tools I have been entrusted with for the purpose of the success of this business. Yeah. So, for example, I've had an opportunity to work with a tech company, and you discover that you find at times we will be maybe going to a site where we maybe we are to install gadgets. Then as we are going through the toolbox, we discover there are certain tools that are not there, or some of them have been broken, and whoever had been trusted with those tools did not even care to report that the tools are not in good condition. Yeah. So that is poor and irresponsible stewardship. Yeah. You have a Facebook page, you have an Instagram page, you have a website. Yeah. And a client comes and maybe gets to air maybe they air their opinion in terms of your pricing. And the way you get to respond to them, you respond to them in such a rude manner, in a way that if that client was a door for you to get to the next level in terms of your profit margins, you have closed that door. Yeah? That's not stewardship. Stewardship comes with the nitty-gritties. Communication. Have you followed the protocols of communication? Have you followed the protocols of delegating? Have you followed the protocols of implementing? That's careful stewardship. That's responsible stewardship. All right? On the other hand, when you talk of management, you see, the reason as to why I say that stewardship is a little bit different from management is because you can learn management in school. But stewardship is a mindset that you get to carry. Stewardship is a culturing that you get to cultivate in your life. Stewardship is and runs upon the premise and the basis of your values. Yeah? Because management, you'll discover that there are people who are in managerial positions, but they are corrupt. Why? Because they studied management in school. So it's an art, it's a skill that they have studied. But when you talk of stewards will always stand out among managers. Why? Because stewards are governed by their values, irrespective of what may be presented to them. That's why you find even in the scriptures, God will always instruct certain things to be trusted to faithful stewards. So, I challenge you tonight, yeah? I challenge you tonight that anything that you'll get involved in terms of business, would you do yourself a favor and now start culturing and telling yourself, even as you're projecting the profits, that you'll be a faithful steward, that a small business that you think in your mind that is small. If you can be a faithful steward, you don't need even 20,000 people to come and get to mention your name. You only need one, and you offer the service or you provide the product to the best of your capacity and excellence. And you'll discover that one service that you have offered, because you are faithful and a careful steward, it is what gets to open your doors for that business of yours. It is what is going to open doors for the next level in terms of ranking at your place of work. All right? Are we together up to that point? So, when we talk of stewardship is not without. I'll just run through as we come to a close. I'll just run through these things, God allowing, and in our subsequent episodes, as we get, you can be sure I'll be having amazing guests as we imbibe on the same, and as we get to grow our business and as we get to excel at our places of employment. So let me say this to you, that stewardship is not without the following things, that is both corporately and both personally. Yeah, personal. So stewardship is not without organization, stewardship is not without planning, stewardship is not without delegation, stewardship is not without evaluation. So when we talk of organization and planning, I'll just combine the two of them. You see, when you talk of organization, is now you have been able to pull your resources together and you are now organizing them before you get to plan for what goes where, when, and how. All right. So stewardship, when you talk of a careful and a responsible steward, is that, for example, if this Bible needs to be in this office and not in this office, a faithful and a careful and a responsible steward, if they found the, say for example, the Bible had been left on the reception table like that, and that's not where it ought to be, a careful steward will not start asking who left it there. A careful steward and a responsible steward will close it and take it to where it ought to be. That's stewardship. Yeah? It doesn't matter whether you are at the top of the hierarchy in terms of ranking. Yeah? Stewards will always do even the unexpected. For example, they find a gate that is not locked. Before asking, why is this gate not locked? They lock it, then they start questioning. Whoever is responsible for that, that's stewardship. Yeah? I find the computer not logged off and it's way beyond time and there's no one in the office. Before I start looking for whoever is responsible, I ought to log it off carefully and responsibly. Then I follow up the matter later on. Yeah? So when you talk of stewardship, there has to be organization for the purpose of order. You remember in our first episode, we talked a lot about order, and you can get the first and the second episode on our timeline. Yeah? As well, we talked about planning in depth, and we talked about we saw a lot that revolves around planning. So when you talk of stewardship, you cannot be a good, you cannot be a careful and you cannot be a careful and a responsible steward outside planning. You have to plan, because when you if you have to be a faithful steward, then there are certain things that you ought to be looking forward to. So that is where planning comes in. Talk of delegation. The business and the vision is unfolding in phases. You have come to that phase where you need maybe 20, 30, 40 people in terms of manpower. It's time that you prepare and start delegating, because you cannot, as the visionary, you cannot do everything. You need to know and learn the skill sets of people. You need to learn their strengths and their weaknesses so that you can be able to delegate according to their strengths, according to their passions, and all these other things factored in. Yeah? So it's important, as a careful and a responsible steward, you factor in the place of delegation. All right? And as well as, and finally, you talk of evaluation. Careful and responsible stewards usually take some time off. They retreat to gauge, are we really on the right track? Are we moving in the direction that we ought to be moving? Have we started retracting our profit or losses, loss margins? Are there things that we can take back home? Is there anything to write home about? Are we supposed to be in this business? And all these things, yeah? Because if you fail to take inventory concerning the vision, you'll never know whether you're making progress or not. All right? So when you talk of stewardship and evaluation assessment must be incorporated at whatever cost. All right? Yeah, so this is what I will say, that when you talk of stewardship, it's a call to being careful and being responsible with that business, with that job that the Lord has entrusted you with. So this is the consciousness, and this is the take home that I would like you to take as we conclude this program tonight, that you will start culturing, and you'll start, if it means you stand before your mirror and start to tell yours until it gets to settle in your heart and in your mind that I am a steward, therefore I am careful and I am responsible. I am a steward, therefore I'm careful and I'm responsible with the stuff, with the chores, with the tasks that I have been entrusted with. And by so doing, you'll find that you excel in all that you do, simply because you have chosen to be a steward, a faithful steward. So thank you so much, all our viewers who have been able to join us tonight, both on Facebook and on YouTube. Thank you so much for finding time to join us tonight. Thank you so much, Bob, for always being there. Thank you so much, Blessed Mo, for joining in. Thank you so much, David Mogaka. Thank you so much, Yune Mwandime. My prayer to each and every one of you is that whatever it is that you have picked up from this program tonight, you're going not only to hold it as a sentiment in your head, but you're going to apply your hearts and you apply your minds also towards it as you appropriate it wherever it ought to be appropriated, whether you're in business or whether you are employed, and see yourself stand and excel among men and women in the name of Jesus. God bless you and God do you good. Until next time, do keep shining, do keep excelling, and do keep being a faithful, careful, and responsible steward in the name of Jesus Christ. Bye-bye.
Blossom Diaspora Media, testifying to the good news of God's grace.